Hi, welcome back, everybody. My name is Lindsay, and this is Linda's Investing. Today, I have the co host of my new podcast. If you haven't listened to my podcast, Real Estate Jefas, you can click on it, download it, listen to it on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you can download a podcast. But today, we wanted to do this impromptu live because we have a couple news from the real estate market, actually. And Violetta texted me yesterday and she was like, "Oh, we need to do a live about this." And I was just like, "Okay, let's do it." I don't know much about the topic, but let's go dive into it. Hi, Violetta. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I saw the new updates and stuff, and so I was like, "Oh, we need to talk about it." The first one is like the Fannie Mae new update, and also talk about Trump's is trying to offer a 50-year mortgage. Now, of course, it's only in talking about it, but of course, it is. People are discussing about it, like if this does happen, what are the pros and cons. And then with Fannie Mae, they decided to basically get rid of their minimum credit score of 620. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then talk about like how both of them working together, because I was thinking about it. It's like, okay, so now no minimum credit score and then a 50-year mortgage is like, okay, I feel like it's kind of like a setup. It sounds good at surface level, because people, the idea is so that way people can be able to go buy a home. But I feel that is giving a little bit 2008 kind of, vibes of how they were just giving loans and all that. So that's what I want to talk about. But I guess we could talk about Fannie Mae's first, because that one is actually going to take effect November 16th.
hmm So, just to let everybody know that maybe hasn't gone through a long process, an escrow process. Normally, what you do when you buy a first home, you go to a bank, right? You go to a conventional bank. It could be Bank of America, it can be Wells Fargo, whatever bank do you think about it. But there's this loan protocol, FHA, right, from the government that is backed by the government that most brokers will be able to offer to you as a first home buyer. And then one of the good things about this product is that it has lower credit scores than what the traditional conventional banks will require you to have for a better interest rate. So so you have these qualifications like 2 years of income shown on a W 2 or a 1099, right? You have to have a credit score of at least 620 to apply for this loan. You have to have no bankruptcies in your, like, I'm sorry, yes, bankruptcies, but it had to be cleared in the last 2 years. But it's a little more flexible than if you go to a traditional conventional loan and you ask for a 30-year loan, fixed loan. And also, you have the possibility of getting into a Fannie Mae loan and a FHA loan for 3.5%, which was not the case with conventional just until a few years ago. But yeah, so now they're getting rid of that first criteria of 620 credit score, which a 620 score is considered average score, right? It's not typically like a good score. A good score is like 650 to 720, I believe, and then that's
Mhm.
excellent. Yeah. So it lets you get a loan backed by the government for a 36-year mortgage for an average score, right? And now they're saying they're gonna remove that 620 from that criteria, which means they're going to look at different criteria. And we were looking it up just recently. What is the risk assessment gonna look like? And it's still gonna take in account your income. It's still gonna take account the debts that you have, so debt to income ratio. They're still going to take account your financial status, so how much savings you have, how much reserves you have, what kind of accounts you have, regardless if it's traditional retirement accounts or other accounts that you have. And instead of looking at your credit score, it looks like they're going to look at your financial um, record. So, how much are you paying in rent? How often did you miss a payment? If you had a credit card, how many late payments did you had in the last 2 years? If you pay utilities, how much like how many late payments you have there, if you have a rental car. So it's looking at your record without relying on the single three scores that you get from the three different bureaus.
Yeah, and I just want to say good morning to everybody. I see the chat. I know the one other time that we did the live stream, we didn't know how the chat worked, and so then we felt bad that after
No,
we
we didn't
ended,
respond to you.
we're like, oh, like people had said hi, and we were like rude because we didn't know that the chat was on the side and everything. But um, yeah, good morning to everybody. And Jams Empire says a lot more people will be entering the buyer pool, but that could also set some people up for failure. That's what we were talking about. Well, Lynn offline, right? We were talking about like the news and everything. That I can understand kind of like their thought process to allow more people, especially we looked it up just before the live stream. Like the average first time home buyer is now at age 40, and so this is going to possibly help people be able to get their first home. But then who did I see? The wealth building journey was talking about like the application standards. Um, well, I'll read his comment. It says lax mortgage application standards were a bigger problem at the bank level than at the policy level, from what they remember. And I was trying to remember as well, like what kind of started the whole thing in 2008. And I could see, because I know I'm gonna see it trending too of like the similarities, and it's like, oh, it's just basically 2008 again. But I'm hoping that we learned a few lessons from 2008 to where like, okay, we're doing this, but we're gonna add more criteria. Which kind of like side note, when I was reading this, there's not too much information yet on this update, so it's just kind of like very surface level right now. I think the PMIs can still require a minimum credit score, so you still can still deal with that. But yeah, I want to see, how do you think this is going to affect, if it's going to trigger something similar to 2008, and especially with the other thing we wanted to talk about was the possible, Trump's talking about maybe implementing a 50-year mortgage. So now you have those two things combined. So like, what are your thoughts, Lynn, on, well, first let's talk about what he's thinking about the 50-year mortgage. I'll let you kind of like
Yeah, I think he wants to definitely incentivize more people because housing affordability has been like a huge issue, especially in our markets, right, where we live for the longest time. And he wants to be able to say, I cure housing affordability. This is what I gave you guys. And, it's something that presidents in the past have done. Like, I remember Obama used to do the $8,000 incentive for
Mhm.
first home buyers as well, not too long ago, 2010, I think. But yeah, so those two things would eventually, I guess, move more buyers into the supply market, into the market, the real estate market. But at the same thing, it's the removing the safety guards that we learned we needed to have from 2008, from the crisis. It's kind of like going backwards to me. And I know it's very much to the individual. And when we're talking about like our community or the people that we know at real estate, this is opportunity. Like when I look at 50-year mortgages, I'm like, okay, well, how
Yeah.
is this going to benefit me, right? But for the average American, for greater, like majority of people purchase a home because they're going to live in it, right? They don't see it as an investment. They're not thinking like future wise, this is just going to be something that produces me income or helps me in the long. It's more like an uh it's more emotional decision. So when you see like the safeguards removed from there, and then you see yourself like, oh, maybe I can afford this home. And if you get a 50-year mortgage, you can afford a bigger home. So all of those things that people are going to be like, well, I cannot only afford a $300,000 house, and I can afford a $450,000 house. Like,
Mhm.
it could be my forever home. And because we're taking the economic safety guards that we have now, it's very easy to be emotional about this impulse buy, as opposed to being like, no, what is actually financially good for my family and for me in the long term, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that happening of people like, well, I got a 50-year mortgage, like I have plenty of time to pay this off, which can put people to buy a house that could be probably underwater or whatever, because it is a 50-year mortgage, meaning that you're going to build equity so much slower. And if you something happens, with layoffs going left and right, like, everything, the job market is crap, um, and you lose your job and now you have to sell that house, like you might be in the negative, because you have that 50-year mortgage. And as a real estate investor, I could see how we could use it. But I think it would, definitely not like, well, like if you're going for cash flow is definitely a good thing and you're not too worried about equity, which is my kind of type of investment. I look more for cash flow because I want um, to retire early and all that stuff. So not too focused on appreciation and equity too much. So, but I'm curious, because I'm not a flipper or anything like that. So I wonder what, if anybody in the chat is a flipper, what their thoughts are on a 50-year mortgage.
Yeah, look, just thinking about like me and my partner, like I am not a flipper, but we are looking next year to get into a live and flip. So purchase something that is, depleted, outdated, and live in it and then flip it because we are one of those people that still have student loans. So like the student loans are hindering us, him and me. And so we want to use that money to pay off his student loans. And then so if a 50-year mortgage is there and we're buying something at a discounted price and we forcing value into it and we flip it after 1 or 2 years, really it doesn't affect us. It's only going to benefit us that we paid a mortgage that was lower monthly for the first years that we were in the house when we already get it at a discounted price. So I see a lot of benefit on that type of mentality and that type of investment, but I can see how it does not benefit other people.
Yeah, yeah. I just see too many negatives. Like, can you imagine, like, going back to the median home buyer age now is age 40. So then getting a 50-year mortgage, like you're gonna be 90, still, forced to work because you're still paying the mortgage or whatever. So like in your 80s, so that, retiring early is basically out the window because you're gonna have to like worry about that, unless you do some things right now of like investing and all that stuff. But yeah, I can't imagine, because the average person is not necessarily like thinking of retirement and stuff. Like, most invest in 401k or whatever, but it's might not be enough for like the mortgage and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, and like Will Building Journey was mentioning too, like the result of this going through, the result it's going to bring more buyers into the market, right? It's going to bring, and then so also the 50-year mortgages is going to have, there's going to be more lenders, more people are going to qualify because now like their principal goes down and the monthly mortgage goes down. So there's more buyers in the market. So what happens when you increase demand in a market? Right? Prices are going to go up. Housing is going to go up because now we have an influx of buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the long-term effects of this is just our assets are going to get higher. Our appreciation is going to grow, but housing prices are also going to rise.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting if it does go into effect. I'm interested to see how this new, removing the 620 credit score is going to be like. um I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna put like too many people at risk now, and I'm just worried about that because like you said, it's gonna be a lot of emotional buying, I think, and we had that already where people were buying these houses at the top of their budget. One, because of like house prices the skyrocketed anyways. So I guess just more education which I did think I saw that they plan to do, like first time buyer education. But I think with the minimum score being removed, it might not be a requirement if I read that correctly. Uh, but it's still a good idea to do one if you are thinking of going to buy your first home in this and you fall under this category of having a credit score under 620.
Yeah. I want to say good morning to Rick, who's saying he's going camping but listening to on his walk. And then he's reminding me that he got a tenant before me. So
Uh,
yeah, we both have a duplex in the same actually street. We have like a duplex like three houses away from each other maybe. And we both been struggling to rent out the top unit because it's like top down, um,
mhm.
kind of like duplex. And he said he just got a tenant, so
Wow.
hopefully I'm
He came in
next
here to brag.
on
That's
the graph, Rick.
Yeah. Is it like, I think we were talking about it on one of the episodes that we did, where is it because well, is this the one that you were saying that it was missing the roof and stuff?
Yeah,
That
yeah, the
you needed to put,
stairs
not
don't
missing
have
the
a
roof,
roof,
but you
and yeah,
should put a
I
roof.
started working on it. We started last week, getting a roof on the stairs. Actually, demolishing the stairs and doing a new roof. So we'll
Uh,
see if it runs a little bit easier now.
did
Um,
he have the same issue? Like, is that why it was taking long, or it's just kind of like,
no, he had a different issue, I believe.
oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Kenny, Jen, Flavio, Bastun.
Yeah, I'm waiting on 2 units right now that are getting turned over. So I'm hoping that which sucks because like I feel like every year I either buy in December or I have a turnover around the holidays. So, but surprisingly, it doesn't take that long to get a tenant in there, maybe a month.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's pretty good.
oh, but I was always like, kind of like, nobody wants to move during the holidays. So, but in the winter, I know it's cold over there. So,
There was an interesting thing happening on my market. They had a notice from the sheriff that they're not going to be evicting anybody between the months of like November to January.
mhm,
And we don't know if this is as a response that's happening as a result of the government shutdown and how Section 8 is being affected by the government funding. So I don't know if like they're trying to protect those Section 8 tenants that are like currently missing payments to their landlords.
yeah.
But that's the first time I see it in my market.
Yeah, I think well, the Section 8 tenant that I had, one of them left. I want to say the other one is as well. I can't remember because he just moved in, so I gotta see. But I'm also fighting with Section 8 because they had put the wrong date of when the tenant moved out. They put like 2 months earlier, so then they took money back. So I don't expect to get that money anytime soon since with the government shutdown. But um, that's crazy. And then plus the SNAP benefit. So yeah, it's definitely, if you're investing in like these working class neighborhoods, it's something that keep in mind, which is why you need an emergency fund for these things because who knows if I'll get that money back this year. I don't know how long this government shutdown is going to be.
Well, yeah, so far it's the longest. So hopefully it won't go beyond Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know how how people are going to take this 50-year mortgage. I don't know. Like, I feel like most people will not go for the 50-year mortgage. Let's say it was offered. Um, I don't know. I don't think people will still want that 50-year mortgage, especially if they're at like their 30s or 40. I could see maybe like a someone in their 20s probably going because they're like, I got plenty of time to pay this house off. So I don't know. I don't know what age demographic you think might be more effective.
I don't I think my age demographic, which people's in their 30s, because I feel the angst around my friends of like not being able to homeowners,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and they're in their 30s, they're starting families, because we're starting families later and later now. And then so um instead of like looking at cheaper markets, they are like just talking about like how it's completely unaffordable to get into a house. But when I was looking at the numbers, really, like between a 30-year mortgage and a 50-year mortgage, your principal only goes down so many hundreds of dollars, maybe like $200-300 monthly.
Mhm.
And that might be enough to get you qualified to get into the house, but it doesn't seem like a significantly amount with this interest rates, unless interest rates fall. Then it would be a significant amount of buying power, right, monthly. Because if you're expected to have less $200 for the same mortgage for the same house, then I don't see how that would really make a dent, like 1,200 a year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're right. I don't think it makes such a difference enough for that. And yeah, I didn't think about that as well, which goes back into the emotional buying, because they are probably feeling like, oh wow, like I'm in my 30s and I still don't have my house, or I have kids already and I would like for them to have a home and stuff. So, and I think you kind of like mentioned a little bit that they might be tempted to go for like the more uh, higher priced houses that are more like, dream homes versus like,
Mhm.
being within your means. And it's like, yeah, I could see how it might affect them.
Yeah.
Mm. From New Jersey. Is he who was like in Washington?
Yeah, we're national now.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, yeah. But that's what my thoughts were. Again, like, gotta see if Fannie Mae puts out more information. Probably not. I think that's just as much as information that, no more minimum credit score. But it's only through what was it called? Their system. Like, it's basically just a credit risk analysis or whatever for them. So they're just removing it so that way you could get more of a whole picture of the person that's trying to get a loan, instead of just relying on credit score. But
Hmm.
but again, like I said, to the PMI is probably still require credit score or another lender, or like if they sale it, it's still like, you know, just
Yeah.
a Fannie Mae thing. Other things can still require it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's you were mentioning how like there's a lot of people that this may be helpful for a lot of people that have had their credit scores tarnished for different things, like
Hmm.
emergencies, medical emergencies that they had, right? Like to put in a credit card and not able to pay it, or uh, the credit card going bad because of student loans that you defaulted on, or even instances in which like family members have used their social security and to work and to use and to accumulate credit card for the family, right?
Hmm.
And then are not able to get rid of that. I remember I had a friend that had cancer early on in his 20s. And even though he had insurance, he had to cover a lot of things in his credit cards. And he wrote like extensive letters for like 10 years to the credit bureau. And they were able to like uplift a bunch of those medical bills that were defaulted early in his 20s because he had cancer.
Hmm.
And his credit score, like, recover, right? So those things like that, I can see how it helps to people. I know you mentioned your husband, like
Hmm.
also in the past that he was like financially savvy, but he had a history with.
Yeah, people. Yeah, he was good when I met him. He was good, like good job and everything like that, and more financially stable. But because of a divorce that he went through and stuff, having to pay lawyers and stuff at age 19, 20, or 20, around there, he would he had to max out his credit cards and all that stuff. So of course that dropped down his credit score. And it took some time, right? Even though like he had paid all of that stuff, it took some time to build up his credit score. I helped him with figuring out like, all right, we're gonna get a credit card and do these things to like start bringing up your credit score. And he has a better credit score than me now. It's way better than me because I use mine all the time with the houses and stuff. But
Mhm.
so yeah, now he's way better than me. So I could see like how long it took. So something like this would be beneficial for people like that instead of having to wait years or however long to fix that credit for a poor decision, or not even a poor decision, just life happening, like with your friend with cancer and things like that. Now they have to prolong of when they could buy their first house or a house, um, just because of that. So I could see the benefit of that helping people like that for sure.
Yeah, and I believe in then within our community too, a lot of older peeps do like to purchase everything cash and do not
Hmm.
like to purchase credit cards, and it do not like credits, right? Reporting things. So like they've been having a stable incomes for a long time and led successful businesses and have no debt. But that there's the downside of that, which you have no credit history there also as well. So to those people that are like looking at this, they would be beneficial.
Yeah, I think I didn't have a credit score until I was like 23. I started because I think that's when I went and actually bought a car. And having no credit score really like messed me up. I had like a really high interest rate. So it wasn't until maybe 26, I want to say, which is when I bought my first house. Um, because of that car, then I was able to buy, well, have a credit score. And then I also lucked out because I used the VA home loan. So that was available to me. So I was able to purchase. But other than that, I mean, I would have had just one loan. And I'm going to have to go back and look and see if I could find those loan documents because I don't remember what my credit score was at that time. Uh,
Mhm.
so I wonder what it was. I'm pretty sure it was kind of like around six something as well.
Yeah.
It
And
wasn't
also,
because I didn't have
also
that much stuff. I didn't have anything because I was like you. I mean, not like you, like the people you were talking about that I did everything cash. I mean, I didn't get a credit card or nothing.
yeah, and I also now makes me think like if you remove credit card out of the question, then do we get the same interest rates FHA? Because FHA is known to have lower interest rates than conventional, right? Like a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of a discount. Um, does that mean are we gonna get like competitive higher like interest rates now because there's no credit score to like, if
Oh
your credit
yeah,
score is
that's
lower,
right.
then that means your interest is a little bit higher. Now your credit score is a little bit higher, then your interest is a little bit lower. So like how's that gonna play into effect?
Yeah, I think those will still apply. Um, but I don't know how they're gonna do it with the people that don't have a credit score. Maybe they just have them as whatever. Let's see. Financial Firefighter says, would you put a child on a credit card as an authorized user before they turn 18 to help build a credit history before they turn 18? Yes, I actually have my stepson on my Amex, and when I'm able to put my daughter, then I'll put her on there too. But I didn't give him the credit card. Uh, you know, only because I would, but because he stays like with his mom and stuff, and we've had issues, not his parents, but like people like the like cousins or whatever that go to his house or whatever. They've taken his like Cash App card before, so that's why that was the only reason we're like, you know what, like just keep it safe. Um, Otherwise, I would let him, maybe pay, I don't know, candy or something with it so he could start practicing. But I'm just a little bit iffy on letting him actually have the actual credit card. But yeah, I have him on there, and so he could start building because about to be 16 in February. So yeah, so he's just around the corner. So I've been doing all that stuff for him. So
Yeah, I think he always asks that question. I think I have a nephew who has not a credit card. They have a debit card
mhm.
that everything that he gets as a birthday gift or Christmas or allowance gets deposited into his debit card. So he's learning to use the debit card as he is moving through the world. But I don't think my sister wants to give him a debit card.
Yeah. No, you just put them as an authorized user. Don't give them the credit card, but make sure that you're using it, and it'll start building credit for them. And side note, since you brought it up, I never knew that the people would do this, but there's people that I can't remember the term off right now, but there's people that will sell, like you could pay them and they'll add you to a credit card as an authorized user. They don't give you the credit card, but they add you for there for, let's say, whatever the terms are of what they're selling. It might be 3 6 months, a year, or whatever. um, and they'll do it so you could boost your credit score. And some of them do it for their business credit card. So like if you have a business and then you know somebody else that has a business with a great credit score. Yes, trade lines, that's what it was. Trade lines. And I know people, I used to see this girl on Threads, and she would sell them all the time on there, and she would charge like 400, depending on the credit limit and how long or whatever. And she would make some passive and apparent and it was talking about trade lines. And I don't know. I think you could do it. I don't know how. But yeah, she does it. That girl, I don't think I follow her anymore because she hasn't popped up on my threads anymore. But uh yeah, she used to do that. And I know people, well, not personally, but I've seen, once I started learning about trade lines, like, what is that? I started seeing people like on YouTube be like, oh, sell trade lines. And yeah, so people do that. Because that brought it up because Jace, or Jason
Classic.
Jacek, yeah, Jacek was saying to add for Mark to add him as an authorized user. So it was like, oh, charge
It was
him
like side hustle.
for $100. I'll put you as an authorized user.
You guys, I have a great credit score, so if you want, if you want my services, how much was it? You said $300, $400.
Yeah, there was, yeah, because
Pretty
she
good.
used to have like some really big credit limits on her business accounts. So she used to charge people, and it was crazy. I would see on Thread she would advertise. So yeah. And then
Flavio.
I will help my kids to get credit, and if it's possible, helping them to get their first home. Yeah, life will be harder for them to afford their first home. That's one of the things I'm thinking about as well with my stepson and with my daughter. My daughter has plenty of time. She's not even 2 years yet. But my stepson, he's right around the corner. And so I'm trying to I'm establishing his credit score, and gonna probably start saving up for like a down payment for him or something like that. But he's thinking of joining the military as well, so then he'll have access to the VA loan. So might not have to. Which with the VA home loan, if you don't know, you don't really necessarily have to have a down payment. You just have the closing cost, which is maybe a few $1,000s. And that I think I with my first home, I think I only paid like 3,000 or something like that because I didn't have to have a down payment or nothing. So I was like,
Yeah.
so if he gets that, then I don't have to worry about it if he goes to the military. Um, but if not, then yeah, I have to figure out how to help him. And we've had these talks of like for his first home, especially if he's going to the military, it's like definitely get like a duplex or a house that you could rent out the rooms to, like people at work or something.
Yeah. Yes, and we wanted to bring you up this topic because if this becomes a reality, then it gives us investors more options to get into real estate, like 50-year mortgages, for example. We were talking with Violeta and how much of a difference would make to for us to get a 50-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage. First of all, more cash flow, and that's like our goal with investments. And also, then you would be able to cash flow better for the foreseeable future. And like I was mentioning in flipping, if you decide to do a live and flip, it doesn't really matter much for me at 30 versus 50-year mortgage.
Mhm.
So that's a good benefit. And then you have to take how the economy is evolving into, you have to take how it benefits you. Like that should be
Mhm.
your first question. How does this benefit me?
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, I don't think for cash flow would work, but if you're that type that is like kind of trying to do some burrs or whatever, let's do like forced appreciation. Like refinancing is not going to be, because you don't have that much equity. And then assuming, like, what about the down payment part? Like a lot of them don't, like, some of them are like 3.5% and stuff like that. So you're already going in with very to no equity, and then you're gonna, you know, appreciate slower and get equity slower because you're paying very little towards the principal.
Mhm. And at the end of 50 years, who's winning? The banks, because they're getting
Yeah,
more interest rate for the 50 years for sure.
yeah, but hopefully we don't have to bail them out again. Bail them out again. Like,
Yeah. 2025 is turning out very interesting. And there's a lot of changes for sure.
yeah,
Jessica says, just moved to New York City and start enjoying life to the fullest. Everything will be free soon. Happy face.
why the title of money chisme? Chisme means gossip in Spanish, so it's just basically money gossip, which I like to gossip about money and finances
Oh
and stuff.
yeah, promote your podcast. What do you talk about on Money Treatment?
Yeah. On that one is more like business and, personal finance, like stuff, money talks of, maybe investing and stuff. I talk a little bit about real estate, but now that we have the podcast, I'm trying to separate more over there. And Money Chisme is more of like general finance stuff. But Mark was saying the other interesting thing I saw is that when the 30-year mortgage became available, what was the average expectancy? Is it that much different than what a 50-year mortgage is today compared to the life expectancy? I don't know. Yeah, I guess that would be a difference as well because we are living like longer. Um, and you retire at 65, and people are already like having to work anyways past 65 because they're not able to retire um, with like social security, and they don't save enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I people are still going to be working at 80 and stuff. I know my parents are, my dad's 65, and actually no, he's about to be 66. And um my mom is like 64, and so they're still working, and I'm working on them so that way, which is one of the reasons I'm moving them to the land over there closer to me, so that way they don't have to work. So there's stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. I Where did I see that they were talking about retirement age as well? I would expect that retirement age would also probably go up. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's what is it, 76 for males, 81 for women's. That's the life expectancy now. And it
Mhm.
decreases like if you smoke and then you have other vices per se. But
Yeah.
um
Yeah, because if you look at Social Security, so for example, with my dad, I've looked at his and everything. Um, yeah, he to get like the full entitlement, it would be like at 75 or 77, anyways. So it's like, well, if you want the full entitlement of Social Security benefits, you have to work till 77. You can't retire until 77. You have to work up till then. So it's like, dang. Um,
Boston has an interesting question.
as friends, how do you challenge each other to be better? Can you give an example? Uh, I don't know. I think we're still like one of the things that we do is like we even when we record our episodes, we have like little chats about um kind of our goals and things. Even life stuff, like the one that we recorded the other day, we were talking about life stuff and um yeah, just and I feel like the podcast itself is challenging each other to be more into real estate and talking about it and getting more educated and talking about the real estate news. So that's, helping each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I met Violetta, I was like trying to get like I have this community of people that are investing in real estate, but I also like empowering women and like talking to women that are in my community as well. So I was definitely trying to get into her podcast to like talk to her about real estate, and then this kind of happened naturally. Our new podcast, Real Estate FS, and because we were already talking, conversing about real estate and ideas and things like that when she moved to Texas, and I'm still here. And then it came out naturally because I was asking her to go online with me. And you're like, why don't we just record it since we're gonna talk anyways? And then I guess we're growing as well as a partnership and a business. And Violetta's like a pro at doing all the edits and cutting all the episodes and then putting all like those professional technical stuff. And I'm more like, I'm just gonna show up and do.
Yeah, I guess that's a good how we push each other is like, I push her more to like uh well, not necessarily push, but I'm just like showing her all the things I learned the hard way with like the logistics of a podcast and all that stuff because I scrambled like when I started like Money Cheeseman podcast. Like I feel like I finally have a like good routine, so I've been showing her all that stuff. All like, oh, you should use like a Riverside, or you should use this or that or whatever. And then she challenges me with the real estate side as well because I just did basically almost turnkey properties, and she did more like rehab. So I've been learning a lot through that, through her stuff, and just with our talks, like with our episodes, like we really had to do our homework now, and it's like it holds me accountable to like, hey, every Saturday we're recording, and so yeah, I think that those are kind of like things where we're pushing each other.
Yeah, we only can get better, no worse. So
Yeah, we
yeah.
can only get better. Let's see. So perfect recipe to make sure most work till the day they die. Yep, that's what I feel like too. When I saw the 50-year mortgage, I was like, people are gonna be working till like, yeah, basically they die to maintain. Think federally subsidized student loans.
Yeah.
I don't know about student loans. You might.
So the argument there is that because if you look back to the 70s and the 80s, we didn't have this massive amount of student loans. Like I think we have billions, but not trillions amounts of student
Mhm.
loans. And since the government got behind incentivizing student loans, like subsidizing student loans, right, the government now through FAFSA, then as a result, tuition, like colleges starting increasing tuitions costs and like classing costs and all. So like the cost of attendance rised up because now the government was having
Mhm.
backing up bigger loans and more higher loans as well too. So the argument there is that because the government got involved in subsidizing more student
Yeah.
loans, the tuitions got jacked up and inflation got out of control. For example, it like came to blow like how much tuition has raised. So
Yeah, I think the The problem, and I forgot who I was talking. I think it was in one of the real estate groups we were talking about. It's like it's because the problem is with the government. Like government will try to do something that's helpful, but then you get these companies and then they lobby and stuff like that, and then they raise their prices. So then it's kind of like, what's the point? Because we used to see it in the military all the time, where they would go and get these government contracts and stuff like that, and instead of a regular pen costing you like the, I don't know, like $3 or something, now
Yeah.
it's going to cost you like $10, and you have to use that pen because there's a contract and they're safe, or it's the Navy pen, and I can't go and buy a pen. And same thing with
Mhm.
anything that breaks, you have to use a certain type of screw from this freaking company because they lobbied to get that, or whatever they, for to get that contract, and they raised the prices when I could go get the same thing. And
Yeah.
then now I had to wait for that. So like it's just, they just don't, the idea is good, right? But the execution is never good because
Yeah.
it
The
just, all
long-term
it does is
consequences
like,
of the trying to manipulate the market, it just backfires.
yeah, even with the housing, like military gets a stipend for housing, and it gets raised because military's like, hey, we're struggling, like, over here in high cost of living areas or just in general. And then government's like, sure, yeah, let's help our people out. And then the landlords or whatever companies raise prices. And so it's like it's just an endless cycle. So it's just the execution is always crappy.
Yeah, Jessic. I don't know if you watched The Financial Firefighter in the last 2 weeks. I think he brought a guest. His name is Kyle. He lives in Montana, and he is retired from real estate.
Mhm.
He used to be a trucker, but he claims his expenses are $600 a month. So he lives on only $600 a month
Mm.
because he's house hacking. Um,
Okay.
and everybody was trying to like challenge that idea that you can live on $600 a month, but he actually came with receipts like this is what my insurance costs, this is what internet costs, and everything. So that's what Jessica is saying. We should
So
almost then
it's,
and learn from Kyle.
yeah, because yeah, if you're house hacking, most of that money goes. So is he including that as income, or is he's just kind of like deducting it from his housing expenses?
$600. No, he's not included as income, I think.
So because I guess he's just, because I could see that his, because what is his actual living expenses? Because it is technically the mortgage, unless it's already paid off. Then yeah, but if let's say he had a mortgage, and then he's house hacking, then okay, you deduct that part, so now your living expenses got
Yeah.
lower and stuff. And if he doesn't have a car payment or even a car, like I don't have a car, because I don't need it, and you know, and I just can't. I can't. One, I don't know what car I want now. Two, I don't need it. And three, I just got so used to not having like a car payment that now I can't, like, I just
Just
can't get over it. Next year maybe. I don't know. I don't go nowhere right now. I go
Mhm.
nowhere, you know. And
Yeah, if people don't know, Violetta's living her soft life in her house. She moved in finally.
yeah, I
So
finally
she's
moved in.
living in her rancho over here in Texas.
Hmm. Yeah, we're right now. So just kind of like an idea of like the my expenses. Like my husband has a remote job, so he works from home, and I am at home. So again, why we only need one car, and then we both were in the military, so he just got his disability, so he gets like he got 100%, so he gets like the full disability, which that just covers basically like the mortgage already and a few bills. And then I'm waiting on my stuff, and then we have our GI bill, so if we go to school we get like that stipend, so that's what I'm like focused on. I'll start like in January school, so that's like whatever the stipend is. So, and I don't have no debt. I don't, besides the mortgages on my rental properties, I don't have a car. I don't have any debt. Um, I just have like small subscriptions for the podcast stuff. That's basically it. And so yeah, so right now we're doing good with just one income, and so now we're working on trying to get his,
Become
so that
replace.
way he could just like, if he quits or wants to just like gets mad at work and it's like bye. So yeah, and I mean he could technically do it. It'll be kind of like a little bit stretched if we both go to school, because then we each get that stipend. You get like a monthly allowance for housing. So but
Yeah.
yeah, that's the way we're doing. And then the houses, they just, it's themselves. They run that, the cash flow just runs itself and just gets reinvested. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't
And
do.
she purchased her land, and then she has her home. She ordered her home. So
Mhm.
yeah, she's semi-retired. She's just doing a part.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you said that, I think was it yesterday? Were you saying that? And I was like, "Ah, dang, I really am." Like it didn't like dawn on me. I'm just like, I'm just taking a. Initially I was like, I'm just taking a work break because I got out in August, well, end of July. So I was like, I'll just take a break till December, and then now I'm like, I think I'm enjoying doing this and stuff. So yeah, that's it. I think basically semi-retired now.
Yeah. And just to wrap it up today, we will try to get back to you guys with the news, the most upcoming news on the live, and it might be last minute. Sorry about that, but
Yeah, I really just text her like in the evening. It's like, hey, do you want to do this? I would really like to talk about it.
the good thing is that I still am working, and I'm pretty good on Saturdays and Sundays. So that's the only days you'll see me like jump in, and then I could just do our thing basically.
Yeah.
So we'll see each other next week. And if you have any comments, please like the live and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done. Our real estate Jefas and money chisme, and we'll keep bringing you more useful information.
Yep. Right, bye, guys.
Bye.